Today, on the early morning show, do some fatherless men carry a hole where their heart should be? Let's cue the rooster and get this show started.
Every time I need that shit, devil make another.
Hey man, if you got something that you believe in and you believe that you can do it and nobody else do, just go for it. It's your life.
My life is moving fast, I gotta slow it down. Yeah, now I got it, they all come around. But when I ain't have it, they nowhere to be found. Yeah, I had to stick with the ones who stay down. And now a lot of people say I changed on them, because I'm whipping in the range on them. I don't think I'm acting different, I just found out that these folks ain't in my interest. And you ain't got a lot of kick it. I messed around and pulled a whole foe up. Banging zero, I roll up. I don't do it, boy, you gotta grow up. My mom's scared to believe me.
Do fatherless men carry a hole where their heart should be? Scientists have a new terminology for children who grow up without a father. It's called paternal deprivation. In effect, you are deprived of something that you need to develop adequately into a whole person. Due to the boom of absent fatherhood, there has been a bust in self-esteem of most of our young men. Now sure, it is easy to age into the body of an adult male, put a leather wallet into your back pocket, lower your voice, and call yourself a man. But inside, you can't fake to yourself what you never achieved. There's an entire generation of boys raised by single mothers, neutered by society, or restricted from their natural masculinity, who on the outside appear whole, but inside they feel like there's something missing. One of the most caught off guard questions of any single mother could be asked throughout history is, "Mom, who or where is my dad?" At that point, it is up to the truthlessness of the mother whether she wants to tell the truth or concoct a story in order to make the child feel at peace with the feelings of abandonment. Now, there are many single mothers that have no intention of staying with the men they choose to get pregnant by, because they wanted the baby more than they wanted the man they had the baby with. To this end, when they are posed with this question by their children, do they use one of the following lies? Your father died in a war. Now, usually a child does not think twice about which war, but assumes it was a war around their time of birth. In many cases, that man may still live in the same city or state with their mother. She can also use the excuse that he was abusive to her, and for that reason she had to leave to protect herself and him as a little boy. In all of these cases I give you, the blame must be shifted from the mother to the mythical father in order not to crush the spirit of the growing boy or put the blame on the mother's back. And finally, there is an abandonment excuse. He just got up one day and left us. She neglects to tell this boy that he is the child of a man she met and slept with after one meeting at a club that same night and never saw him again. Now, I'm not talking or trying to take anything away from the mothers that purport to do this because they say they love their children. But in doing so, they teach boys to hate men and in turn teach them to hate themselves because they grew up to be men. But there is no scientific information given that the growing up of fatherlessness causes worse psychology damage than we could have originally imagined. It's worse. In a recent article by Ben Spencer for the Daily Mail, we are informed on how growing up without a father can permanently alter the brain. So now we're talking about the brain. Fatherlessness children are more likely to grow up angry and turn to drugs. Canadian scientists believe growing up in a fatherless household could have a greater impact on boys and girls alike. They said growing up without a father could permanently alter the structure of the brain and produce children who are more aggressive. Now, Dr. Goby of McGill University in Canada said that the main impacts were seen in the prefrontal cortex, or the frontal portion of your brain. Now, growing up without a father could permanently alter the structure of the brain and produce children who are more aggressive and angry. Now, this is warning from scientists. Children brought up only by a single mother have a higher risk of developing deviant behavior, including drug use, and many other problems. And this is what new research suggests. It also feared that growing up in a fatherless household could have a greater impact on daughters than on sons. But I beg to differ, because at least she has a chance of growing up with her leader in the house, her mother, while a boy has no chance of that, missing a father. The study goes on to say that more than 1 million children in the UK currently have no contact with their father while they are growing up, a figure that is growing by 20,000 a year. Dr. Goby, who carried out the research with colleagues at the medical faculty at McGill University in Canada, said, "This is the first time research findings have shown that paternal deprivation during development affects the neurobiology of the offspring. The research, which was carried out on mice, compared the social behavior and the brain's anatomy to youngsters with 2 parents to those growing up with merely 1. The team said the findings had direct relevance to human society. They used California mice, which like humans are monogamous and raise their offspring together." Now, Francis Bambico of the Center for Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto, who also worked on the project, said, "Because we can't control their environment, we can equalize factors that differ between them. So between 2 parents and 1 parent. Mice studies in laboratory may therefore be clearer to interpret than human ones, where it is impossible to control all the influences during development. The brains of fatherless mice develop differently," Dr. Goby said, "with the main impact seen in the prefrontal cortex," so as I told you, the frontal part of your brain. Now, the part of the brain which controls social and cognitive activity. At the end of this program, I will talk more on the prefrontal cortex and its ability to influence our judgment. Now, the study published in the journal Cerebral Cortex found that those mice raised without a father displayed signs of abnormal social interactions and were far more aggressive than mice raised with both parents. The fatherless mice in the study had a far greater sensitivity to the stimulant drug amphetamine. Now, growing up without a father could permanently alter the structure of the brain. And now we know. Growing up without a father could permanently alter the structure of the brain and produce children who are more aggressive and angry, scientist Dr. Goby said. The behavioral deficits we observe are consistent with human studies of children raised without a father. As if who didn't know that after 50 years. These children have been shown to have increased risk for deviant behavior and risk for substance abuse. This suggests that these mice are a good model for understanding how these effects arise in humans. The report said the behavior of the mice was consistent with studies in children raised without a father, highlighting an increased risk for deviant behavior and criminal activity, substance abuse, impoverished educational performance, and mental illness. Now, it added our results emphasize the importance of the father during critical neurological development periods, and that father absences induces impairments in social behavior that persist to adulthood. Dr. Goby also said that the results suggest that parents are vital for children's mental health, development, and hope the findings will spur research to look more deeply into the role of fathers. This is what we need. We've gone the other directions for so long. A separate report by the Center for Social Justice published in June this year found that more than 1 million British children currently live without a father and have no adult role model in the home. None. A figure that is rising by 20,000 a year, which I said before. Some of the poorest parts of the country are becoming men deserts. There's no dads there. The report found because there are so few visible male role models for children, it turns out to be a problem. Now, in the main Manor Cass Award of Sheffield, 75% of the households are headed by a single parent, most commonly a woman. You see, I personally believe growing up without a father is equivalent to a person dying in your family. Now let me give you my take on our behavior and the prefrontal cortex, as I've studied this for years, about who we are and how you came to believe or what you would be. You see, the human brain is composed of many neurons that fire off chemically laced messages about you within a given environment, so you change often. Now, do people around you like you? Are they someone not to be trusted in your behalf? Is the person I share my life with my effort? And finally, am I worthless in the world of what I believe of people who could be better than me? It's a lot of things that it tells you, your brain. Now, you can see right here in red is a prefrontal cortex in the front part of your brain. That governs your empathy, your insight, your response flexibility, your emotional regulation, your body regulation, your morality, your intuition, your attuned communication, your fear modulation. Okay? And that's attached to the limbic system, which represents your fight or flight, freeze mentality. Those three. You think I am safe? Do people want me? Emotions live here. So, there's a connection of the four. You got the prefrontal cortex, and that's the red area right there. And that takes in information into your brain. What you see out of your eyes and you hear with your ears, what you think the situation is. That sends a signal to the thalamus part of your brain, which is like a plum-size part of your brain, a gray matter in the middle of your brain. So from the prefrontal cortex, it sends a signal to the thalamus, and the thalamus triggers the amygdala, which is the lower part of your brain. And that gives you, what you might see in pink behind that portion, a fight, flight, or freeze mentality. Okay? And that sends it to the hypothalamus part of the brain, which helps the brain control stress. And finally, the amygdala, which gives you, like I said, the fight or flight mentality. So it is my belief that the reason a lot of guys end up being hollow with no father is because they are raised in an environment where the prefrontal cortex in red there is told who you are, who he was, who society is, and why they do or do not like you. And that becomes your belief in life. So that prefrontal cortex becomes your belief in life. It sends a signal to the permanent part of your brain, to the thalamus, the hypothalamus, and the amygdala. So when you're in a given environment where you think that you are nobody based upon where you believe you were born at and based upon what you were taught. So say, for example, when I see somebody that I think is my enemy, and the prefrontal cortex sends a signal to the hypothalamus part of my brain, which sends a signal to the amygdala, I either want to fight them, flee them, or just freeze there. This part of the brain also turns off during sexual desire, like I said, or anger. So your intelligent part in red up front turns off. And that is a danger to us. Because you could be raised that one group is your enemy, and they're not your enemy. You could be raised that one group in life is your friend, and they're not your friend. So you're operating off a system. When you see somebody in particular, that person you think is your friend may not be. That person you think is your enemy may not be. And so boys are going around believing that men abandon them. Believing that men are abusive to their mothers. That's why they're not there. Believing that they are nothing. And those things get put into the brain. And whatever they think about themselves in life, when they see somebody else. And you see this a lot in the black race. The black race for generations has been taught to hate itself. So when one black person sees another black person, they automatically have despise for them, but it's reflective of themselves. So now these days, men have been taught the same thing that destroyed a great deal of the black race. And so when men see each other, they snarl, put their chest out, avoid each other, think negatively about each other. So like I said, it depends on how you were raised. Prefrontal cortex part of your brain took in information. It sent it to the hypothalamus, down to the thalamus, to the amygdala. And so if you're raised in an environment that men are dogs, men are trash, men have done so much to hurt children and women, then this gears us up to fight each other, to flee from each other and not help each other, or to just freeze up in a time that we should be helping each other. So you could be going off a whole lifetime of wrong information. You have a lot of grown men that have a hole in their heart where their father should have been. And those men, like I say, end up despising grown men. But they never take into account they will become grown men. If you hate an old man, you will become an old man. That's self-hatred. So you have a lot of males in jail because they act out. You have a lot of males that commit suicide because they hate themselves. Okay, you have to be able to hate yourself, like the doctor said, with his new theory that anybody who kills himself is the murderer and the person being murdered at the same time. Because you hate yourself just like somebody outside of your body so much that you took your own life. Tell me what you think about this video. Give it a thumbs up. Let your friend know about it. We'll see you back in just a moment. It's 5 o'clock on a planet somewhere, and we're about to get our drink on. Welcome to the Man's Bartender. Today on the Man's Bartender, we're making another one of my favorites, cold liquor cocoa. Stick around. What's up, guys, and welcome to the Man's Bartender. If if you guys have been enjoying the holidays and it's time to get out, you've had the champagne, you've had the alcohol, you had the migraine headaches that you could hear a half mile if you drop a pin. Today we're going to do a chocolate drink. That chocolate drink will consist of about 3 ingredients. Vermouth, Nesquik. We're going to need a smoothie mix that will make it more creamy. And that's a chocolate smoothie mix. That is not dark chocolate. It just has the flavor of chocolate. So that will be done by the Nesquik. Okay, and then we're going to put some maraschino cherries inside of there. And just about 3. That's all we need. We don't need much more than that. So I'll go ahead and put about 3 of those at the bottom of that. There we go. We go ahead and mash those a little bit. You know, when you're angry, smash those maraschino cherries. But we didn't get that flavor out of this, so you want to do that. And you know, every time I make a drink, I always make it for a couple people. So you could have a traditional glass there, or you could have a mug. But this is also a good drink for your friends this time of year. Okay? Not to leave them out. So move those to the side. We'll use those again in a minute. Now, what we want to do, when you get vermouth, and those alcohols, they come with the cap on them. But you may see a lot of times that we pour them out. The reason we use a pour, because it's a consistent mix. You don't want to use that big cap. So you go ahead and get one of those. If you get one of these traditional kits, they'll come with that, a bottle pour, and it fits on any size bottle, you see? So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get ready. We'll take that lid off of there. That's gonna need some ice. Always I tell you guys, the ice is what? About halfway. So make sure you fill it up halfway, right? Okay, so here we go. Now, here we go. That's about halfway. Can you see that? All right. Now to that end, what we want to need, we're going to use about a half a cup of water. Because remember, that's a smoothie mix, so it's going to make it milky anyway. It's not going to make it dry. So we don't need to add milk to that. It's its own milk product. Now, to that end, we're also going to add about a half a can of Mountain Dew. Now that's a little small can, so that gives you half a can. Okay, now, the one thing to be cautious with the barrel shaker is that at least it has air to escape with the gas. Because if you were shaking it up without a lid that way, maybe it would burst everywhere. You wouldn't want that. So we cut up the smoothie mix. And that will go in there first. See, that's got a chocolate look, but not as much as I want. So we're going to add approximately 3 regular tablespoons of that chocolate. Now, I don't mean the one that's in the kitchen, traditional tablespoon. This is your table, the tablespoon that you get from the actual table. You know, the multi-purpose one you use in the house for everything. Mama, can I have a tablespoon? All right, now let's get to the alcohol. Now, we're gonna add about 4 ounces, okay?
Tomorrow, on the early morning show, absentee fatherhood, while boys have a hole where their heart should be. Don't miss it.
And there be 4. All righty, we're gonna go ahead and put the lid on, the barrel shaker, and that's a lot of fluid, so be careful when you shake it. Be very careful. Now, I'll even use a cloth when I'm shaking it to make sure it doesn't come out. Now, for sure, that seltzer is going to want to escape. But after a while, it'll calm down. And we're going to shake it about a minute. We'll go ahead and move the glasses forward here. Of course, you know, as usual, it's always cold. I never knew when you shake one of these barrel shakers that it isn't cold. All right. Let's see what we got here. And we'll go ahead and move the lid. And what we'll do, we'll go ahead and put the strainer on the container. That looks good, right? And the good thing about those strainers is they can strain out that ice or anything else you don't want going in there. So like I said, it doesn't matter what type of glass you have. When you have guests coming over, serve that thick chocolate drink with the cherries laced with vermouth, and your friends will love it. Vermouth? That's good. The chocolate smoothie mix. The maraschino cherries. And there you have it. As always, fellas, here's to you. Wow. That tastes better than ice cream. We'll see you guys in a minute. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I hope to see you back next time on The Man's Bartending. Join me each week, and we're going to be making some great drinks, some crazy drinks, and stuff that you prepare for your friends at a party where it looks like you've been a bartender for a long time. Thank you for watching M&N. Today, on The Man's Kitchen, we're doing blackened chicken tenders. They're good. You won't want to miss them. Stick around.
What's up, guys, and welcome today to The Man's Kitchen. We're doing chicken tenders that are blackened, just like Cracker Barrel. Come on, let's do it. Now what we want to do today is we want to have in that pan, she's about medium high. Now you might say I already have some butter in there, but you definitely want to have some olive oil or some kind of oil that will not burn. And you know, I've always told you before, you take a paper towel and you could actually spread that around much better than a pan could itself, because it has some high spots and some low spots. Like I said before, I don't know what it is, but I think the contractors are paid to make kitchens unlevel. That way stoves won't cook like they're supposed to. Anybody find out that kind of plot? Let me know, okay? Now, in this recipe, we're going to need some Italian dressing. Okay, it does not matter the company, but Italian dressing. We're going to need about a cup of that. That's going to marinate it. We're going to need about about a tablespoon of honey. Okay, so we're going to go a cup of that, tablespoon of honey, and go about a teaspoon of lime juice. So a teaspoon of lime juice, you're going to squeeze that yourself. Now, you take all those ingredients, mix it together, especially mix up the lime juice with the honey before you mix it in with the Italian dressing. You're going to go ahead and put that over the chicken, just like I have here. Move that around. See that chicken right there? That chicken right there has been marinated about 6 hours. Really, an hour will do, but I wanted it to go longer. Now, if you never had these blackened chicken tenders before, they are great. You would slap your mama and her mama's mama's mama for these chicken tenders. Now, you want to darken them or blacken them, but you don't want them dried out. I don't know about you, but I don't like to eat shoe leather. So I've got it going right now, like I said, at medium heat. And I can start to go ahead and put them into that pan. So you get something where you can grab them individually, because you'll be turning them over about the same way. Put that on a little bit higher right now. Go ahead and hear the sound of that. Now that's about a pound of chicken there. Now this is some fresh chicken. They're kind of free range. It's not that cheap chicken. The better the chicken, the better the taste. So anytime you go cheap, that's what you're going to have. Now a lot of the stuff we order that we use in the kitchen, that way they deliver it to us and we don't have to go out to get it. Okay, so you won't be able to use that anymore So we won't think about recycling that when it's done or pouring over the chicken, because raw chicken has sat in there. Okay, so at this point with the chicken, that flavor is beautiful. So you don't want to salt or pepper that. Salt has a tendency to tighten chicken when you put it on there, especially when you fry it. So we'll leave that to after the process. Now you can check now and again, but it's gonna cook itself. It's not gonna cook any faster if you keep messing with it. And if you guys seen the last segment, I'm almost finished that chocolate drink. Wow, that's good. Now what we're going to have today, let's turn it down a little bit. We don't want to burn it. We want it black and we don't want it burned. We're going to have with that some yellow rice. Okay? You top it off with some yellow rice. It goes good with that dish. When you have family over, especially this time of year for family, for New Year's, and that sort of thing, you want to get cozy again. You want to fix all them problems you had in childhood. All the arguments y'all had with each other. Man, when you stole my such and such, man, I won't forgive you. This is the time to get to let that stuff go. If not, don't hang around with those people. Get yourself a whole new group of people. There is no law that you have to live up under your own enemy. Okay, so we turn that over. And you can see some of them are behaving the way I want to. And at this point, some are not. I'll go ahead and rotate that pan. You see that? That's what we're looking for right there. See that darkened look? So we still got a little bit of time yet. There's not really a rush. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to go ahead and finish it up through the magic of television. We'll come back when we got it nice and blackened for you. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. If you want the best tasting chicken, I suggest you go free range. Free range chicken gets enough exercise, which keeps all levels within the chicken, and therefore, they're less tough. We'll see you back. Okay guys, we're back, and you look at that, through the magic of television. They're black, and that's exactly what you're looking for right there. See? That's exactly what we're looking for. So, like I said, when you cook at Cracker Barrel, those blackened chicken, that's what we want. So we can actually take the last bit of that lime and go ahead and give her just a slight squeeze over that. That brings out the rest of the flavor of that chicken. We go ahead and plate that up. Oh yeah, that's good. They're plenty done. Remember, it's already dead. You're not trying to kill it again. That's some kind of good. Alrighty. We'll give her a try here. I suggest we'll go out, get the ingredients. That's so good. It's on the top. I gotta eat. Let's do that. Woo. Oh, fellas, here we go again. I can't believe it. Woman kills husband after setting him on fire in Punjab, Pakistan. So in a small town in Pakistan, a wife on Friday killed her husband after setting him on fire along with his friend in a small district called Punjab province. Now, according to police, the woman initially served an intoxicant to her husband and his friend, making him unconscious. See, they can never do it while the guy can face him because he may defeat him. She then, along with a male accomplice, set both of them on fire. They said, adding that the husband died in a horrific act while another man sustained severe burns and is currently admitted to a hospital. The police said that they had registered a case against the accused and arrested a woman while a search operation is being launched to nab her accomplice. Crazy, right? Now, in a somewhat similar case on September the 14th, a woman was arrested from another province in Karachi for allegedly killing her husband over divorce threats. So you kill him for divorce. You can't do this to a woman, right? She says, my husband used to give me divorce threats and was involved in selling drugs. She had to smirch his character. This never happened. She said, she's a mother of 3 children, so she justified the murder. The police said that they had arrested her for killing her husband, Usman, who used to work as a laborer. The woman hid the weapon after digging it up underground after killing him, but was later recovered after the initial probe into the matter. Now, she tried to use another excuse each time she kept changing it, but the intention was revealed during the initial probe. Now, I must tell you guys, if you guys have never watched our episode Killer Wives, I suggest you do so. Because each week we report on these same type of cases that go all the way to trial and imprisonment. We are not persuaded by calls that the husband was either abusive or he planned to divorce her, his wife. Just as women tell men, you could easily always have walked out the front door, swings both ways, or got a divorce. Killing someone is not a cause of action for anything. Now I realize that society as a whole sees the lives of men as less than women and something easily disposable. But we certainly do not on this channel, and we never will. In each one of these cases, usually abuse does go on for a while, but it's not the wife receiving abuse, it's the husband. Society tells the husband to either put up with her or that she will learn to love you one day. If the circumstances were reversed, they tell the woman to call the police and don't wait until he comes around, as soon as possible. You have men that go to churches, synagogues, mosques, and wherever it is, and to their closest friends and family, and they tell them, just go back and put up with it. She'll love you one day. You know, she's learning how to love. She went through some problems as a kid. Look, I could give less than a 3 damns. I've got enough stories for Killer Wives instead of running it once a week to run it every day and never run out of a story. There are hundreds of thousands of cases where this stuff has taken place. The reason you don't think it exists because on the regular news, national or local, they can only show one case. And they usually choose to show a case where a guy has done the same thing to a woman, not where a woman has done it to a guy. Now, if you ever want to see some cases, and you doubt that this happens on a daily basis, globally, go online to, you've heard of Wikipedia. Go to a site called murderpedia.com, and look at the women that have killed their husbands. So they have the list that lists all the women and list that lists all the men. You'll find out cases you never saw before. When we do a case like for Killer Wives, we do a lot of research. We don't just pick them willy-nilly. Some of the things that happened that week, some of the things that happened years ago. They've got stories that go back hundreds of years ago. So for Eminem, for assault on manhood, and that this stuff stops happening. If your wife is abusing you, call the police. If your wife threatens to kill you, call the police. We got stories coming up where the wife tried to kill her husband by poisoning, and then he went to the hospital, and she took some food up to the hospital and poisoned him there, and he died. Or they released him from the hospital, separate story, she poisoned when he came home for the second time, and he died. I'm done. This is
I care less about what you think of me and more about what I think of me. Abundance coming easily, I'm tapped into that frequency. What you think of me ain't none of my business. What you think of me ain't none of my spark don't get you lit, so why you give a shit? Talking out your ass, we revoke your membership. Falling off the cliff, hope you niggas get a grip. It's enough to go around if you tune into the sounds. Tap into the universal laws to get it all. You already have it in you, but you hold it and you stall. We ain't gotta die to see heaven, we can live it. If you want something, gotta be willing to give it. Not for the return, purely for the feeling. Take some time to get a line of structures that we building. Expansion we increase cause we have to. Thank